Okay, so I pretty much think about this stuff all day long when it comes to the Cash for Kids system. Not just because of the fact that I went through the whole Munchausen situation, even just witnessed other people's situations in the Cash for Kids system before I ever even knew I was going to end up going through that. But also because I studied global SRA sex trafficking since I was like 7. Which is why eventually, once I had some time to really think for myself, especially after being let off the psychotropics early in the Munchausen situation, and when me being pushed through the Cash for Kids system kind of died down, I was really able to piece together the Cash for Kids system as a whole. And during all that, and then even after, when I started piecing everything together, it just made me think about the judgment that's gonna happen here. That due to all the stuff that goes on in America that nobody cares about and nobody wants to talk about. And then it's like a lot of people these days, or at least in the past couple of years, but especially these days, like these days, I don't really know how else to explain that, are making prophecy videos and all that about the stuff that's coming to America. But I mean, you don't even really have to be a prophet to know that something's going to happen and people are going to be judged for all the stuff that they do to kids and just other people in general. And that's the thing. People in America, they don't want to accept any of the stuff that goes on or that they do as wrong. Okay, actually, no. This isn't even coming out how I wanted to. Let me just use different examples. So, like, trying to think of where to start. Okay, so I'll start here. Hopefully this is going to make sense. So basically, when my Cash for Kids abuse situation was starting to die down, well, was it dying down or was it picking back? But, okay, so 2021. Summer 2021. There was this one person I used to talk to about the Cash for Kids system a lot. And basically, one time we were talking about the things that go on in America when it comes to the Cash for Kids system and even the higher parts. Because the thing is, people always think about sex trafficking, which I don't even really know why people's mind always goes to that when they hear Cash for Kids system. Because at the end of the day, most Americans still believe sex trafficking and child abuse in general is just some conspiracy theory. Because that's the term that's been put in everybody's head. And then when they think that, they automatically think schizophrenic people, which of course, like I said, mental illness comes from trauma. So like when people do come out from trafficking and they talk about the stuff that happened, they just get labeled off as schizophrenic. And I mean, with the stuff that they go through, they might as well have schizophrenia. Although really it's going to be DID, but if you really know about those disorders, you know that they're actually pretty similar. But anyway, I don't know why that's the first thing people think of when they already halfway believe in it, and there's multiple other types of trafficking and just different things that, well, different branches of the Cash for Kids system. There's like the higher up stuff, but then there's the lower things. And yeah, so anyway, dang, where was I? I think I was talking about how me and the girl were talking about that, but I don't know. Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. So for if that is what I was saying, because I really don't remember. Basically, she was like, it seems like every person in America is just living in their own fantasy land to ignore the stuff that goes on. And I said that's true, because that really is what people do. And I've been saying it throughout all these different channels that I have. Because it's like, people really just will accept the whole conspiracy theory thing or just completely ignore the stuff that goes on, even though they know that it happens, just to be able to go to sleep at night. And like I've been saying a lot recently, it's really just weird to me because at the end of the day, everything that happens only happens because society lets it happen. That's the only reason any of the stuff that goes on goes on. If people were to stand up and say, we're not taking this, then none of these systems would be able to exist. Everybody wouldn't be so depressed and stuff because, I mean, you'll see that due to the things that go on, it's like mass trauma. So everybody's picking up these different mental problems, and mental illness is being normalized anyway in more ways than one. I mean, honestly, once the whole eugenics abuse system that we now call the mental health system started making mental illness a sickness, a quote unquote sickness, once they started doing that and then making different names for it and acting like it was some type of physical problem, that was kind of normalizing it in a way. Because it's almost like, it's like acting like issues that come from trauma are no different than the common cold. And I feel, hopefully this is making sense, but that's kind of normalizing abuse and stuff. Because I mean, there was a point in time where if somebody was to have schizophrenia or bipolar or something, people would know that something happened to that person, and they'd be like, we need to figure out who did whatever to this kid or whatever, and we need to do something to that person and get rid of them because they're obviously severely abusing and messing people up, because that's what mental illness comes from anyway. So I kind of feel like the moment people let Europeans make up this whole mental health system bull crap, that was already normalized in mental illness, and now it's like it's normal for people to not know what gender they are and stuff, which that comes from trauma. Which something that I say a lot with that, or at least I used to. Probably not on this channel, I don't even remember. But the thing is, all adverse sexual attractions and issues in general come from trauma. And it doesn't always have to be sexual abuse. Sometimes it could be just family dysfunction in general. But it's like when you claim you were born that way or that you chose to be that way, it takes accountability off the person who actually messed you up, and it puts the accountability on you or somebody else. It's kind of just like how the pedophiles have websites, which they probably have the websites more hidden now, because when people were really talking about the websites, that was more so in like the 2010s. But anyway, they have websites where they say God made them a pedophile and they were born that way and all that. When all that's bullcrap, because all of that stuff comes from trauma, which a lot of people, for whatever reason, like to pretend that people all of a sudden decide to like kids at 18, even though it actually starts in childhood. You become a pedophile in childhood. And then, of course, there's just stuff with like all the technology and people not going outside enough and all that. Cause like I seen this one story from this boy who was like 13, and he said that basically he had a whole bunch of family dysfunction going on, and he wanted somewhere where he could fit in. And so he started getting on Discord a lot. And within a couple months, like 3 months, he became a femboy because he wanted somewhere to fit in. And that can also happen too, but all that stuff is done by design anyway. Because, like, things are set up where the parents have to spend so much time working, they don't even get the parent if they wanted to. So they're at work all the time, and their kids either at the house by themselves or in the education system getting indoctrinated. So the parents don't know their kids or what the kid has going on, and the kid ends up messed up from listening to other people's bull crap. It's kind of like this thing I said way back when on whatever channel this was, where I said if you don't tell your kid something or teach them about certain stuff or whatever, they're gonna go to somebody else to find it. It's kind of just like how if you don't show them love and affection, they're gonna try to go somewhere else to get it. Stuff like that. Although luckily, since that boy understands that that's how he became a femboy. He hasn't fallen into the whole "I was born this way" thing. He still is able to actually get out of that whole mindset. But he had a lot going on. His parents got divorced, and then his mom worked a lot, and a lot of stuff was going on. So there's that. And of course, even if you do try to parent your kid right, sometimes the schools will have them messed up because the school's telling them not to listen to you and to believe the bull crap that they're telling kids. Not even just the new stuff, but I mean, they were always telling kids bull crap. But yeah, so back to the Cash for Kids system stuff, though. So anyway, wait, no. There was one last thing I had to say. And then it's like, with all these different, what are they called, protected groups? The thing about it is that the mindsets in these groups is always stuff that came from trauma. Not even just with the LGBTQ thing, but the feminist thing. Because I've been thinking about this for the past couple weeks. But the thing about all the feminist stuff is that, for one, a lot of it revolves around being Jezebelic and narcissistic and hating kids. Because, like I said before, a lot of social workers, if you've ever been around, been involved with any of them, a lot of social workers are feminists who hate kids, but that's kind of a side thing. But they also have this kill all men ideology because their dad wasn't there, or they got, or they got raped by some dude, maybe a couple of different dudes. And so now they're scared of men. The same thing that'll turn somebody into a lesbian in general. And then, what was the other thing? Oh, yeah. And so I was thinking about it a lot lately, and it's like, people are talking about how bad men are, talking about killing all men because due to their trauma, they think that all men are rapists. But to be truthfully honest, if you're scared to leave your house because every time you leave your house, somebody rapes you or sexually assaults you or tries to, it's not really a sign that all men are messed up. It really just shows that you're living in a society where people have lost morals and you're living in a fallen society. And it goes on with this other thing I've been thinking about a lot lately when it comes to the whole effeminate thug persona, where the boys are broken and messed up, and so they're trying to push this persona to hide who they really are, because for one, they hate themselves, so they walk around with their butt out. And for those who don't know, that comes from buck breaking, which is a type of Virgo vasal trauma-based mind control, which goes on with Willie Lynch syndrome, to tear the families apart. But you have to study all of that, because if I go on all that, then I'm going to be really off topic. But anyway, that comes from buck breaking, which, to make a long story short, is sexual abuse. So the whole walking around with your butt out thing, it comes from trauma, really. And so anyway, to get back on point, I had just been thinking about how whenever you're living in a society where everybody's walking around half naked and everybody's walking around with their butt out and stuff, you know that you're living in a fallen society. It kind of goes back to that Greco-Roman stuff, and I mean, there aren't really any statues or pictures left from Sodom and Gomorrah, or at least not that I know. So that's why I really think about Greco-Roman culture, because that's where you see the statues where everybody's butt naked. And it's like, when everybody's walking around naked or half naked or whatever, you know that you're living in a fallen society when everybody's obsessed with butt. To make a long story short, that was kind of something funny that I've been thinking about off and on for the past couple months. Because I spend pretty much most of my time thinking, even when I was in this Cash for Kids system, because it's like you gotta try to piece things together and really figure out what's going on. Because something that I noticed is that a lot of people come out of those systems either really believing that they're the bad guy and they were just a quote-unquote bad kid who deserved to be quote-unquote punished, or they think that it's just a flawed, messed up system and everything was an accident. So it's like they either completely blame themselves or they go into severe cognitive dissonance. And that's why I was really, really glad that I realized that the systems are made to do what they do. It's not like some accident, because a lot of people say, oh, it's broken systems. And it's like, these systems aren't broken. They were made for eugenics and abuse and as a money scheme. And so now I can go on to the next. No, wait a minute. Yeah, I can go on to the next thing because I think I finished that last thing I was saying about the protected groups. I think. I really should have just wrote this down because when I write things down, it comes out better. But it's like I think about this stuff pretty much all day. But then it's like once I start recording, I start forgetting what I want to say. Then I have brain fog and dissociation, so I constantly forget what I'm talking about. And that's been the issue. It's been the issue for a really, really long time. But hopefully this doesn't come out too bad. So, anyway, I guess I can go into how I was always called a Debbie Downer. So, like I said before, even when I was just asking quote unquote mandated reporters for help in the whole Cash for Kids system situation, before I really realized that people either don't care or they won't do anything because they're paid to abuse, to make a long story short. So I would get called a Debbie Downer for talking about the things that go on in the system and all that. Even the mandated reporters who I try to convince myself are there to quote unquote help. And it's like when you talk about these things, if you don't get called negative, people will try to like jump you forward or not jump you. Well, they probably will try to jump you literally, to be honest. But it's like they verbally attack you basically. And people get really, really mad, specifically Americans. Americans don't like when anybody talks about the things that actually go on here. So like if you talk about the trafficking and if you talk about the Cash for Kids system, what you went through, people are going to automatically jump and call you crazy or stupid or whatever because they're going to be like, not in my America, and I'm in all that bull crap. And it's like, if you're so much of a patriot, then why don't you come against these systems and fix your quote unquote America? It's honestly just so crazy to me. And it's like I don't even know what I was about to say, but it's just really, really stupid. I mean, it's like, there's this one guy. I don't even remember what his channels are called now. They used to be called A Call for an Uprising, but there's this one saying that I like that he says where he talks about how America, when they do stuff, they point at the boogeyman in Russia or the boogeyman in China or whatever. That's what he likes to call it. I kind of like that saying. And so, something that I noticed with how America is, people are like seeing that it's really being destroyed by the people running it. But I noticed that people really like to point at all the different groups of people that they call the N-word. Because I don't know if I'll get striked or not for saying it. I mean, the white supremacists can, but I can't. Because actually, on my other channel, I've gotten not strikes, but I don't know what it's called when they give you messages about how your comments were quote unquote offensive. But anyway, it's happened before for me saying that. In fact, I wasn't even saying that. I was just saying Negro, and that's not even. Anyway, anywho. So, people like to point at all the different groups of people that they call N-words, like when it comes to the whole Mexicans coming over the border, even though really with the whole immigration thing, it's like people want to point fingers at the Mexicans, have everybody looking at the Mexicans, but the real immigrants that people need to worry about are the European spies that are being let all in New York and stuff. But of course, the white supremacists that are stuck in the far right conservative mindset, which I don't like the whole politic thing anyway, because of course both wings are on the same bird and all that. But the people that are stuck in that whole far right thing, they hate hearing anything that points at white people. Really, I don't even like that term because really it's for a purity complex. But they don't like looking at other Caucasian people because everybody's been through different types of brainwashing, and Caucasian people are not taught to look at their own people. And when it is their own people doing something to them, like how they're passing out drugs to people on the West Coast, they're not taught to look at the fact that the same Caucasian people that put drugs in black communities, which I don't like that term either because it's an insult, but I really want people to know what I'm talking about. So the same people that did that are the same people putting drugs in their own communities, but they're not taught to look at that. But anyway, so Caucasians don't want to look at the fact that the real issue with immigration are the European spies coming over from Russia and stuff that are being let in. I mean, even the Mexicans are being let in. People aren't really sneaking in. In fact, a lot of kids are being trafficked at the border, and people are saying sex trafficking. I mean, I'm sure that's happening too. But honestly, with how CPS rolls, with how they just like to give foreign kids to rich Caucasian families, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the kids at the border are being put into CPS custody. But that's not even really what I'm talking about. But nobody would want to talk about that either, because people here just don't want to talk about the stuff that goes on here. And like I may have said before, when you don't say anything about something, you're in agreement with it. Even if it's because you're scared. If you're scared, being scary, I don't even really like that, but that's what they say in the South. Instead of saying fearful, they say scary. Being scared is gonna get you in a bad predicament with the people who are doing this stuff. But yeah, so I'm trying to think about what else I could say. I know a lot of people who went through similar situations to me when it comes to the cash for kids system, whether they were in the juvenile justice part, the mental health system part, the TTI, which a TTI is kind of half juvenile justice, half mental health system, although some TTIs were known to be ran by cult leaders and the kids were being forced to eat their throw up and all types of stuff. But anywho, all those different branches, a lot of people that went through that ended up hating America for it because they would run to the quote unquote people that were supposed to help, like mandated reporters and CPS and all that. Nobody would do anything. Or worse, they went through the foster care system, part of the cash for kids system, and they were trafficked and abused through that. Like I seen this one story from this girl who ran to Mexico. This was some years ago. She's way past 18 by now. Because the story said it was from like 3-4 years ago plus, and she was 16 then. She ran to Mexico to get away from her mental health system, Munchausen, cash for kids system abuse. And she was talking about how she really just didn't like America anymore. And a lot of kids end up feeling like that. The ones that actually piece their situation together and don't get lost in cognitive dissonance or end up being driven crazy in the situation or blaming themselves, they really end up not liking America because of all the stuff that goes on. And it's like, that part of the cash for kids system is the lowest part there is, which means that it's the easiest part for people to stop. And I'll probably make some more videos like this because I'm really gonna be changing content around a little bit. I mean, I'm kind of gonna be talking about the same things, but maybe a little more harshly. Is that a word? I'm pretty sure it is. Because, like, I've been pretty harsh, but I think I should be more harsh about the whole truth of the matter, because the thing is, the things that people on these prophecy channels are getting talk junk about for saying, or that people don't agree with, is kind of stuff that I've been saying for years. For years. Especially, well, no, I wouldn't even say that. Before I even moved with my mom and I went through the Munchausen and got put in the cash for kids system, like I said, I had started studying sex trafficking and all that when I was 7. So it's like, with this, once I started going through the cash for kids system, with the stuff that I've seen in my situation and in other people's situations, it just made me realize more and more about how messed up everything is. and how much people really don't care and nobody wants to do anything and people just want to live in la la land. And it's like, even in places where it's known that sex trafficking happens, if you talk to people about it, which you really shouldn't, because honestly, some people that get mad, they're probably mad because they're doing it or they're into kids or whatever, which a lot of people, honestly, even if they're not pedophiles and specifically attracted to children, a lot of people don't mind molesting children. That's something that people should realize too. Because when I was in school in GA for the little bit of time I did before all the bull crap, wait a minute. For the little bit of time that I was before all the bull crap happened, most of the people I met, male or female, have been molested or sexually abused. And of course, these people never get charged or end up in jail. And that's why GA is another quote unquote LGBTQ hotspot, because all the kids are turned out and confused, and one minute they're straight, the next minute they're bisexual, then they're a demigirl, and they're all over the place. And of course I can speak on stuff like this because I was messed up when I was younger. I still pretty much am, because I never got to get treatment for any of the problems I actually had, but I've gotten better throughout the years just by learning how to work through stuff on my own. But I talked about it before, not on this channel, but on the other channels before the videos got deleted, if anybody on here even knows that story. But I used to talk about how messed up it actually was, so I'm definitely the person to be talking about this type of stuff, especially when I was in elementary. That was like one of the heights of me being messed up. I see GA as a black California, to be honest. That's really what it is. And what was I saying before I started saying all this? I don't know. I'm probably gonna have to write a script, but yeah, I'm really gonna be being more harsh with the content, even though nobody really watches these. But still, for just in case someone does, because the thing is, I don't make these videos for like a debate. I'm not trying to debate with anybody or have people say, well, I don't believe that, and I really just, this isn't what this is for. This is for the people that already know about this stuff and that actually care, just for people who went through it, because that's who I really, really want to reach. People who are like me, but are still in the situation in the Cash for Kids system or whatever. I want them to see these videos so they can know that they're not really just some crazy bad kid or some stupid kid or some kid with a learning disability. That these systems are put in place to drive them crazy and also just to make money off of them. But at the end of the day, even if money wasn't involved, people will still do these things because that's how people are. But of course, people have been made to think that humans are inherently good in a lot of different bull crap and weird philosophies. In fact, that reminds me of the other thing that I forgot to say with the whole LGBTQ thing and kids getting dragged into that and just different stuff with the gender stuff. With the fact that all this stuff comes from trauma and they're being made to think by adults that it's just how they are or whatever, it also, I feel like it also makes them more likely to fall into mess with molesters, because it's hard to explain, but it's just really pedophile philosophies that are just going to make already messed up and abused kids more confused. And so then it's hard to explain. I don't even know how to explain it, but hopefully next time I'll write a script. Like whenever I start thinking about whatever, I just write down what I'm thinking. That's what I really need to do, but it's usually while I'm walking or whatever, because I disassociate and stuff a lot while I'm walking, so I just start thinking about stuff. But yeah, so I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh yeah, and I seen this video where this lady, she was talking about how she had to run away when she was younger, and she's been living in the woods by herself and stuff since she was 13, which is really, really bad that that's like the only option, because there is no real help out there. people really shouldn't have to run away under 18, especially due to the fact that you can't even go to a shelter under 18 and all that, and you can't work a job and you can't get food stamps. But anyway, in the comment section of that video, this was on TikTok. I don't get on there much, but I have an account where I was trying to sell my Redbubble products, which has went nowhere. But anyway, in the comment section of that video, one person was like, the world's richest country, and of course Americans get in the comment section and they reply to that and they talk a whole bunch of junk. And it's not even about the money. It's really not, because any systems that claim that they're there to help her would just put her in CPS custody and she'd be getting abused and trafficked through there. She probably ran from CPS custody in the first place. And then in the videos where America's drug problem is shown, which of course, obviously, the same FBI people who put drugs in black communities are making these drugs. Because, I mean, a chemical engineer, that's like 8 years in college. So, people who are making these drugs are very quote unquote educated, which is a lot I can say about that. Is this even still recording? Oh, okay. So, yeah. Dang, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So, in the comment section about videos, of videos, where people are showing America's drug problem and how there's like a whole bunch of messed up, broken, traumatized homeless people and stuff everywhere. Which it's a lot of stereotypes with that anyway, but people would say stuff like America definitely has the issue, and of course Americans get in the comment section, they talk junk and they say, in other countries don't. And people always say that stuff. And it's crazy to me that people are still trying to fly and jump and swim into America over this American dream lie that's been played out. It's been played out years ago. Even before the whole job crisis, stock market crash, even before all that got really, really bad, the American dream has been played out. But people still believe in that, and so they come here and then they end up homeless. And then when you try to warn them, they say some bullcrap, because a lot of people look up to this country because they either don't know or believe or care about what actually goes on here. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say.